Okay, with the world changing so rapidly, virtually every established company needs and feels the imperative of innovate. Executive managers and employees across the globe are working hard to figure out how to succeed with innovation. Amongst other things, companies are now embracing more collaborative models of innovation, such as open innovation and design thinking. Well, in our next panel, entitled Innovation is Fundamental to Business Culture, we will learn how these companies are doing in this sense. It is a powerful panel, I told you, so we needed a powerful person to conduct it. So we have invited a man very dear to South Summit with such an impressive career that I can't summarize it how it deserves. Let me just say that as Chief Information and Innovation Officer at Ferrovial, he has received the CIO Innovation Award by Forbes, which is given just to companies that have proven a real budget growth of over $1,000 million, and to the leader that through technology increases the benefit margins of the company. Of course, he is Federico Flórez and his panel. Let's welcome them. Thank you. Thank you. I have to say that we're missing one of the panelists. He's a bit late and he might not arrive, but Federico will introduce them now. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Elena. First of all, congratulations to the South Summit team. Great event, very successful this year, and improving every year. Thank you for that. Well, we have an amazing panel. Maybe the first thing is just to introduce yourself, your company, who you are in your company, what you do in your company, please.
Sure, Federico. My name is Martin. I'm leading investment in innovation in Kaspersky Lab, a global cybersecurity firm. And what we're basically doing is creating new products, new startups with help of entrepreneurs and startups. They're not investors, but rather they're financing new projects a lot. And basically, they are pointing to the new markets like smart city protection, behavioral analysis, blockchain, of course, Internet of Things protection. So all new stuff. Probably our company is very much famous for its antivirus and endpoint security, but we are only doing modern security things because everywhere where you see a chip and a software, finally, just after 1 or 2 years, you'll see cyber criminals trying to attack it. It means that there is a place for new projects, new products, and of course startups. This is basically what I do. I drive new people to new markets of security.
Okay, please, Juan.
So, hi everyone. Thanks Federico, and thanks to the South Summit for having me here. My name is Juan Galiardo. I'm the head of Uber ride-sharing for Spain. And I oversee the ride-sharing business in Spain. I joined the company back in 2014 when we were a relatively unknown startup in Europe, operating in the US and some other cities around the world. And today we're the biggest mobility platform in the world. And our vision is very simple, is to change the way people move around cities, hoping to make mobility more accessible for everyone around the world at the top of a button.
Okay, thank you. Just to introduce the panel, we're going to speak about innovation. AI is here, 3D printing is here, robotics, big data, analytics. So they are here right now, not ahead, today. So technology becomes strategic for companies, for corporations, if they want to be different, if they want to have business opportunities because of these emerging technologies. Open innovation is the model to do that. You have to implement that model within your companies because you need not only internal but external ideas, and you need to create your ecosystem to integrate these good ideas and these new feelings from several corporations, universities, and so on. The employee is the critical success factor, in my opinion. You have to provide the employee tools, skills, and ways to improve their digitalization, because the innovation is made by people, it's not made by technology. And because we are in this kind of forum, startups is a key issue also for innovation, for corporations. We have to look for startups. We need this rapid innovation, and this is what that means, startups for companies. So we have to change the way we work in the corporations in order to integrate these startups. We have to be quicker. We have to do pilots in order to approve or not, and not to miss this opportunity to integrate these kind of technologies. And going ahead with that, I would like to chat with you too. Could you describe more or less your innovation model in your company, just briefly?
Sure. Sure. So first of all, let me talk about our own employees. I think it's a very specific topic how we do internal innovation, and we did it in three large steps. First, we removed the fear from our own employees, because the biggest problem for people to come to our business incubator to innovate, to create new products, was that people were afraid that top management will laugh about their ideas. So I talked with them a lot. We made workshops, we made hackathons, internal hackathons, and finally we came to a point when most of the 4,000 employees of Kaspersky Lab understood that any idea is good enough, or at least worth developing further. So we started talking. After that, we found a process how we can build a business case, how we can model what's going to happen with this idea if company will invest certain amount of money. Usually we're talking about $100,000 or something like that into the development of this idea. And then we had hundreds of our employees coming to us and talking with their ideas. And you have to choose the best, because you can't do everything, right? So we made a criteria analysis of how it is happening. So every employee understands why company will choose to invest his idea and not his colleague's idea. So nobody gets out of incubator without an answer. This is also very important. And after that, the most important thing we did, we isolated new projects that we created in incubator using with help of our people from a large company, from a bureaucracy of a large company. It was also a very important step, because when you have one guy with an idea and maybe with some money, it's not enough, because in a large company, in the first month, everything he will do, is running around different offices and rooms with many papers. So after we did these steps, removed fear, established some process analysis and estimation, and prepared a special place to run new projects quicker than a company. We've got so many new projects right now. We have 7 projects running on, and some of them already achieved revenue stage, so we're getting money back to the company.
Okay, thank you. Juan, please.
So first of all, I'd like to say that I completely agree with your initial point about innovation not being about technology, but being about people. Of course, technology is an enabler, and it's absolutely necessary to turn those ideas into action. But we fully agree that it starts with people. And when we think about innovation, when I think about innovation at Uber, I always think about the value that our founder, Travis Kalanick, kept on repeating, which was let the builders build. Was one of the core values that he had. And I think there's an analog to parenting and to that idea of roots and wings. I think for us it's about making sure that everyone in the organization knows how important innovation is, where exactly we want to innovate, and how we're going to measure it. Of course, it's very easy to put in your mission statement that you want to be innovative and come here and say that innovation is important, but then not have that in your KPIs or in your OKRs, in your goals, in the conversations that managers have, etc. So I think it's critical to make sure that the roots are there, that you value innovation in the recruiting processes that you do and in the goals that you set as an organization. And then the second part, I think it's about trust. I think it's about trusting people to do their job right. This is why that initial phrase was, let the builders build, because often innovation is not so much about pushing innovation, but about letting innovation flourish, about trusting people to come up with ideas in the correct environment, of course, and have, of course, the processes and the systems in place to make it efficient and not chaotic. But I think it's essentially about trusting people and letting them do their work. No?
Okay.
And that's how we think about
Okay,
about
just
it.
going to the point, Vartan. What happens to business if the corporate culture is not supporting innovation?
Oh, it was a great move for Kaspersky. So basically, Kaspersky just turned 20 years this year, and you know, we like 6 or 7 years ago, we understood that our company is not growing by 3-digit growth numbers anymore, and we didn't like it, and we understood that if we continue this way, the company has basically now 2 ways to go. We're even going to be bankrupt, or we're even going to be acquired by someone else. We didn't want it, I mean, because we wanted to continue to save the world, right? So we really believe we have to do something new, and eventually by 2020 move company to new markets. So the answer is easy. Either you move your company and to the new markets with new products, to new customers, to new business models, or you die. I believe this is that simple.
Yeah, okay. So Juan, for you, there is an obvious question. How you see the future of mobility?
That's an interesting question,
Yeah.
for sure. So our view is that the current paradigm of private car ownership is not sustainable. I think we see this every day for those of you living in Madrid or having commuted in Madrid. The notion of 1 million cars literally trying to get inside the M30, the Madrid city center, is not sustainable. The levels of congestion that it generates, the level of pollution that it generates, having forced the city council to activate the protocol, the cleaner protocol, twice already, 3 times, sorry, so far this year, is definitely not sustainable. No? And I think we're all aware of this. The City Council recently published the Plana de Calidad del Aire, which we fully endorse and support. Now, the key thing is how you move from those objectives into actions, because at the end of the day, what people need is not only objectives, but alternatives to actually move around the city without depending on their private car. No? And that's where we think we can be part of that solution. We already operate in Madrid our core product, UberX, which is about having cars moving around the city, utilized all the time. So essentially, if you keep the car moving and driving people around, you can lower the price, making sure that the driver and the partner makes the same money. No? And that's step one. Once you've built that first layer, that infrastructure, which we've already done in cities like Paris or London, you can start deploying the next phase, which in our mind is Uberpool, which is about having more people in the same cars. And that's when you really start taking cars off the road. And sometimes the perception is that the first phase is actually putting more cars on the road, but sometimes you need to do that to make the service reliable and be able to then launch things like Uberpool. Uberpool is a reality in dozens of cities around the world, and we're reducing carbon footprint and congestion in many cities around the world. Unfortunately, sharing a car, sharing a taxi or sharing an Uber is illegal in Spain. The regulation, which was designed before I was born, 1987, doesn't allow, for some reason, to do this. So we hope at some point this will change so that we can continue our mission. And I think it obviously ends up with driverless cars. I was in the Nissan Sustainable Mobility Forum this morning, and I think we share completely their vision of 0 accidents and 0 carbon footprint, which is what shared autonomous electric cars can bring. So that's, in a nutshell, the idea.
Okay.
Easy to say, not so easy to
implement.
do.
To implement. Okay, so Vartan, in your company, how you make your employees to think in an innovative way? How do you make that?
Yeah, Before answering that, I can give you. I'd like to comment also on mobility because
Sure.
we also have an interesting project that came from our employees, which is basically very much connected with what Uber does. But in Russia, they have like many companies, like car sharing companies. And basically, project is about. You just mentioned that now people will need to come together in one car, you know, to decrease number of cars in the streets. But the problem is that we found out that not everybody likes any other person. So people are different, right? So we decided that a good idea is to measure your personal psychological reputation over the time. Like you used Uber, like you used taxi, you went to the cinema, you went to the cafe, and the owner or the driver can evaluate his experience with you. Like, was he a good passenger or bad passenger, you know? And eventually you can trade this reputation and get people together a little bit more faster because nice people want to talk with nice people more. So this is an idea that came from our innovation. And elaborating on that, how we did that, initially nobody believed in this idea. So I had to take this developer from the company and lead him through all stages of our company, actually on the 5 stages of bureaucracy and management and proof of cases. Then we went to Yandex Taxi, our own car sharing service, and brought them to the company again and used them as a customer, and they told us, yes, we're going to buy this technology. So basically, we're using lean principles and startup methodologies and customer development to help our internal entrepreneurs to get not innovative, they are innovative enough, but to build up the project on top of their idea. Nothing will happen if they just have an idea. I'm telling them this many times. You know, people come in and asking me how much my idea worth. I'd like to sell it for $1 million. Now it's priceless, meaning it means nothing. You know, it costs nothing until you'd like to execute it. So the process. The customer development, the lean methodology is what we use internally with our employees.
Okay, thank you. So, Juan, do you think Spain is an innovative country, or what do you think about that?
Okay, that's a tricky question. Okay, I think Spain is full of innovative people, and I think the South Summit is a great example of that. But I think those very innovative people face several challenges in order to innovate in Spain. I think one of the challenges is access to financing. I think in Spain it's relatively easy to get access to an initial small seed capital amount to kick off your business, 30K, 50K, 100K. You have lots of public options, subsidies, and business angels networks, etc. And once your company is already getting commercial traction, it's fairly easy to then scale it up. No? But I think there's an important gap in the middle, and trying to raise $500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million euros when your company is not selling yet. I think it's terribly challenging in Spain, and I think that's a problem because lots of businesses require quite a bit of financing to actually get commercial traction. If you want to develop software, everyone would agree that developing software is not something easy, no, and it requires money. So I think there's a gap there in the middle, and I've been in lots of meetings where they would tell you, in my prior experience, where they would tell you, call us whenever your company is already, has revenues. And I always tell them, well, in that case, I'll call the bank. No, I won't need you. I think that's the point that needs to change. And I think it's a vicious circle because some experiences in Spain have been negative. VCs and financiers have become more afraid of lending money to people that don't have commercial traction yet. So those people essentially are forced to go outside of Spain to look for financing. And it becomes a bit of a vicious circle. And I'd say the other big bottleneck is obviously regulation. I think more often than not, and I think urban transportation is a great example, one I know touches me more directly. Regulation hasn't been able to adapt and evolve as quickly as technological change and social change. More than technological change, social change, because at the end of the day, ride sharing is not so much about technology, but about a social change of not depending on your own car and relying on a network of cars that are moving around the city. And I think being able to adapt that regulation faster is going to be key if we want to help those builders build in Spain.
Okay. So let's finish just with the starting point that innovation is about people, okay? And in my opinion, talent management is the critical issue here for the future. There are not enough people with the skills we need for this disruption of technology, at least in corporations. Maybe in other companies it's different. And this is a critical issue. Yeah? How you recruit, how you retain the people in the company, how you give the skills and the power to the people to implement innovation. How you do that in your companies? I mean, what about the talent management for this new era of technology? What do you do there?
Sure. So we're using a very interesting approach. We're basically pushing people to fail. So if startuppers, internal startuppers, or project managers, or lead managers failed with a good reason, and he explained this to everyone, he will be given a bonus because this is a very important experience. So people afraid to fail. We're trying to remove this big problem, right? And people like that. They stay with Kaspersky. They know if they tried good, they achieved some results, but they failed for some reason, it's okay. Nobody will kill them, right? And I actually wish this to everyone in the room. I met here in the Soft Summit a lot of great people, a lot of great startups, and to previous question, I see a lot of great ideas here in Spain. But what I actually wish to happen here in Spain is what you develop your ability to fail like 5 times, 10 times, 30 times, and still continue going on with your idea or pivot your idea, you know? This is very important for any new endeavor. So basically, we're removing the fear. We giving money for people if they got new experience, especially negative experience. This is what keeps them with a company.
Okay. What about Uber?
So I fully agree. I think we're very afraid of failing in Spain, and definitely a big contributor to innovation could be to remove that fear. No? Not an easy change again. So talking about recruiting, I can maybe speak more about our experience in Spain. Yeah. We recently opened the hub for Southern Europe here in Madrid, in the Cube, the first center for Internet of Things in Spain. An amazing place, and I'd like to thank Javier, Esteban, and everyone in the Cube for the warm welcome that we've been given. We're actively hiring and here in Madrid, and one of the things that I think has proven more important for us is at this early stage of development, when you're a small team, I think we should focus less on the job description and more on talent. I think as the company matures and evolves, you obviously need to be more selective and look for people that have the specific skills to each role and to each department, etc. But at an early stage, I think you should focus much more on pure talent, on those skills and capabilities that you can clearly tell in an interview that this person is going to shine. And that's what we try to do. We have open roles with job descriptions, etc. Of course, you need to have that. But we try to not get too obsessed about that. And when we see someone that is truly engaged with our mission, that is really willing to make a difference in mobility, and you see those key skills, then that's definitely a person you want to have in your team.
Yeah.
Say something more?
Yeah, this is great actually. When we see a new person, either from the company or a startup, apart from technology skills, apart from market analysis and all that stuff we of course have to do, we usually also talking with a guy, a lady, to try to understand how much does he believes in what he wants to do. So basically it's a amount of belief, and how much potential energy he has. because he will have to make too much experiments, and we want to make sure he will have that energy left after, I don't know, 6 months of experiments. So with the 2 dimensions, we also take into attention when talking with new people.
So thank you very much to share this panel. I think it was amazing to have you here and your companies. We're speaking about innovation. We spoke about people, culture, and startups. We didn't speak about technology. This is great, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.